Welcome to the Greenlight Investor for the week ending August 21st, 2015. The goal of the Greenlight Investor is to provide a resource to make managing your 401k both a simple and easy process. We do this by using red, green, and yellow cells in our worksheet to help you decide when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell. This presentation is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as personal investment advice. The examples shown are exactly that. They are examples of how you can use this worksheet to help make investment choices within your 401k. Please refer to your own investment policy or consult your own investment advisor to make certain that the choices you make are appropriate for both your investment time horizon as well as your understanding and acceptance for taking risk in financial markets. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and move along to our worksheet. Each week we update this worksheet to match some of the choices within your 401k. These choices are arranged by fund number, symbol, fund name, and the description of the fund. At the top of the worksheet we start with the core investment, and those are the indexes. As you move down the worksheet, we'll go into our satellite investments, fixed income, U.S. growth and income, the U.S. equity funds, international funds, and the sector funds. The way these are arranged is the more conservative investments are generally towards the top of the worksheet, and as you progress down the worksheet, they tend to be a little more aggressive. Center section, we have the performance, and that's the closing price, month-to-date return, the quarter-to-date return, and the year-to-date return. The reason this is important is so you can compare your investment choices with how other choices in the worksheet as well as other choices within your same category are doing. It's important to not be in laggard funds for very long and to keep track of which funds are doing the best. Finally, we have the current weekly trends, which I think is the most unique and helpful part of this worksheet. It focuses around column V, which is the relative strength trend change for each of the funds listed in your 401k. When you see a red cell, that'll mean that that's been a weak performer on a week-over-week basis. And when you see a bright green cell, that will generally be one of the stronger funds on a week-over-week basis. So it's good to keep track of how they're doing relative to the other funds. The way we use this worksheet is column U, V, and W are the most important for making your long-term investment choices. Column U is the long-term trend, and when you see a red light, the long-term trend is bearish. When you see a yellow light, that means it's neutral. And when you see green lights, that means it's bullish. We're not seeing very many of those right now. Here's a couple down in the sector funds. To the right of the worksheet, of column V, is column W. And what we do is we rank each of the funds with a relative strength score each week. It's a numerical value that will show whether the fund is getting stronger or weaker. As the numbers increase, the funds are getting stronger. As the numbers decrease, the fund is getting weaker. The red cells will show funds that have been showing a negative relative strength for a week-over-week basis, and the green cells will show the funds that are showing a positive relative strength on a week-over-week basis. And again, when you make your investment choices, we like to see a green light in column U and a green light in column W. That helps confirm that your fund is most likely in an uptrend or a neutral position, and when we see red lights on both sides, we generally want to get away from those funds as there's probably better funds, or you can choose to go to a money market. And when you see yellow, that just means it's transitioning, so you get your choice as to whether you should stay or whether you should go. The other thing that's helpful with this worksheet is when you see a lot of red, it's generally a weak time in the market, and when you see a lot of green or transitioning to green, it's generally a more positive time to be in the market. Last week we went over how you go ahead and use the relative strength to choose which funds to move into. This week let's just go over how we use this worksheet to evaluate your funds on a week-over-week basis and see if there's any changes that need to be made. To get to the asset allocation section, you click on View, Custom Views, and then My Current Allocation, and then hit Show. This will bring up an allocation worksheet tab, which if you keep it current each week with any changes, you'll have a real easy way to evaluate the funds you're in. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at our hypothetical funds that are used just as an example of how you can use this worksheet. Start out by sliding the slider over so that it is right near the column H where your fund allocation is. And we'll look at this. This one we see turned red this week, as well as a yellow light with a bright red light. So what we're going to do is we're going to elect to take this down to a 0 allocation, and we're going to go ahead and move that over to the money market. So that'll move that up to 65%. So as we see more and more red lights, we're accumulating more and more into the money market fund. As we scroll down, we'll see that we have red lights and a 0% allocation, although this is one of the few areas we're seeing where green lights are starting to appear. This may be an indication that we're entering a market where fixed income is going to outperform the equity markets, but let's stay tuned and watch for a couple weeks. Once we start seeing some of the lights on the right side change to green, that'll be a more confirming signal that we're turning into a bullish market here. Till now, we'll leave the allocation at 0. Our growth and income funds, we're seeing all red lights on the right and red and yellow to the left. So even though we would like to have 5% invested in this area, we're going to stay with 0 until we see more and more green lights appear. As we go down, we'll see that we have a 20% allocation to U.S. equity funds. There's lots of red lights, and as you can see, you're transitioning to more red lights. 20% allocation we have is still showing green to the right and a yellow. So with that said, we'll give this one more week. If it turns red, we'll move that to a money market, or we'll go over to a fixed income if that's starting to show more green. As we go down to the international funds, we're seeing lots of red, 4 columns of red in a row, so 4 weeks have been generally bearish. And on the left side, we're seeing the short-term, intermediate, and by and large, the long-term turning red or red and yellow combinations. So with that said, we're going to keep our 0% allocation for another week. Nothing to be done here. And finally, let's take a quick look at our sector funds. Here we have a 10% allocation. We're still showing a bullish and bullish sign with 2 green lights. We'll leave it. And we have a 5% allocation, the same situation. We're seeing a green light and a green light, so there'll be nothing that needs to be done to that fund either. So with that said, the only change this week is we'll be taking a 10% allocation out of our index funds, moving that over, and that leaves us with 65% invested in the money market, waiting for more green lights to start to appear, and when that happens, we'll start to reallocate our assets accordingly. Let's go ahead and go back to our main worksheet. We'll go with our performance columns, show. And with that said, that's what I've got for this week. If you'd like to go into this worksheet, you can download a copy of it from the greenlightinvestor.org website right here. Or you can just simply send me an email if you have questions or would like to be emailed a copy of this. The email that I use is jweixner@greenlightinvestor.org. I'd welcome a chance to communicate with you by email and share any insights I might have or answer any questions you might have regarding this worksheet. I hope that's been helpful. This is what I've got for the week, and I hope you have a pleasant week ahead. Thank you for watching the video and taking the time to go through your 401k investments.